Now my email from 92, it was again designed for, like, the most important for me was for e-commerce. It's not for politicians, not for anything else. I started to think about email because of the store. Because purchases, yeah, they can make purchases, and then what? They need to call each other. I thought that, well, they can call each other, but I thought it's necessary to have email. That's how my email appeared, because of e-commerce. Not education, no nothing. No government. So if you see, like, it's a subject. The subject. The main thing for me was to have that subject, believe it or not, is like, suppose you are sending to the store. You bought certain item, right? And then certain issue. So your subject would be what? My order, this or that. Now, I was thinking to use the same email communicating with relatives or, anyone. So, like, for relatives, suppose, Happy New Year. My subject, Happy New Year. So, I've seen it's necessary to have that subject. Beside email address, I have subject. And then I expanded to a few people, sending to a few people. And believe it or not, sending to a few people because I did not like to type the same many times. So if I say Happy New Year, I can send to few people the same message, Happy New Year. Suppose relatives. Why do I need to waste my time and keep writing? So for me it was important. It gives me that ability. Now, if there is a question today about the political involvement into that was not really made for politicians. My original email was not made for politicians. Now I see messages from Donald Trump or Biden. They keep sending messages to me. That was not my intention, really, to have messages, email for them, to bother me. You know what they call spam today? They actually turned it because they cannot wait. I can see they cannot wait. Now they started to ask people for money. Mass emailing. I just see that's how they approve mine for illegal use, because they have a lot of greed and desire to have the money for that particular political term. Because some politicians told me they don't become politicians to really help. They want to be rich, get rich. So they found to use that would be one of the ways to get rich. And actually I consider that would be abuse of power. They are not really trying to make anything legal and right, but they're taking time to send email to ask for donations. They've made a greedy game out of mine. So my original email was not for Donald Trump or Biden to send me emails, give us donations. Not really. It was for e-commerce. In case of people talk, it's for people talk, like between each other. You know, like suppose you have social network, but at some point you wanna like send individual message to particular person. In this case, you use email. But if you want like the same time talking, especially with webcam, I had chat. So all that was my innovative thinking, and I really dislike how American all that justice system works. They work in a way to steal something from you. They do not go through who is right and wrong, who is legal, illegal. They keep approving everything, and then suddenly all those political people appear everywhere, keep sending messages about donations everywhere. That's actually, I assume that is abuse of power, overextending, because that was not for them, not federal intellectual property, and they suddenly jump into it. I would actually suggest to check what time they take. Is that after work? You send messages about donations after work or during the work? It's not, if it's not federal intellectual property, you should not be there doing something because it's not federal. You should not take your time for your all these emails you're trying to send, because they do send. So to me, honestly, they are kind of like abuse of power. Abuse of power means he's doing something more than entitled to. So if Al Gore and Clinton, if people elected them to do something, and then a particular group came and they participated, that's abuse of power. I'm serious. Al Gore was participating in abuse of power, kind of. Because that my stuff is not federal intellectual property. And they created all kind of internet organizations. It's not internet organizations. It is my way, custom way of network and software decisions. They did not deal with Russian army of 60s, and they did not have Russian army, all those people. They had German people who were asking questions to my ex-wife, and they were implementing with illegal papers all that, you know. All that is illegal implementation of my intellectual property, and then trading with fraud and forgery. And government was participating, visiting new development somewhere there, Dakota or whatever, or New Mexico, no, like Colorado, anywhere they go. That new development is overextending. It's abuse of power. Because even if Olga found somebody, some politicians, they cannot go and talk unless I tell it's okay. Because I am a talent and thinker for this, not her. She did not come to network. She did not come to any platform. That's not her intellectual property. And she is talking to people, and they walk around, some politicians, and talking to American politicians, and they do something. That's abuse of power and overextending. People did not choose them to walk around with some foreign politicians using illegal papers in illegal ways, because they were using illegal ways. Legal ways, they would need to find me. They should not make any papers for me. But they made papers for me, look like I'm okay, I allow this. I mean, in America, they keep making overseas and using those papers and walk around. And if you send emails, they ignore. I think they're screening emails too. So then they're telling people to implement, especially Jewish people who agree to it, and probably they want money from Jewish people. But that's corruption. First of all, it's not their intellectual property. Second thing, talking to Jewish people, and they want money from Jewish people. And if Jewish people need to see talent, they cannot see talent. They have a bunch of excuses and stories. And then government is helping with what? With expansion. With expansion of using illegally intellectual property. So what they are doing is corruption, and you are helping those politicians with corruption, basically. You're not helping with illegal. First of all, you did allow copyrights, illegal copyrights, and then they were expanding with illegal copyrights. With illegal copyrights, they should not expand at all. They should be stopped. But he was trying to help them to expand. So I'm telling you, all that political stuff, it's not a federal. Intellectual property, they should not bother like that. And they should not even send messages, give us donations. They have site, .org, or whatever they have. It's a place for donations. They should not really send people those messages. And they should not bother on social network. Because lawyers, all these lawyers, Washington DC, they keep looking at them. You need to look straight. They want money. The more money, the better. That's how they are. They will not do anything if no money. They were implementing my stuff just because of future money. And they don't have enough brain to understand if it's not your intellectual property, then that person should get paid. They don't have enough brain. They keep listening to my ex-wife. You gotta be stupid to listen to her. You need to find talent, not her. You see how they are? They're giving excuses to wrongdoing. So they do something. Oh, ex-wife, oh, that's her, we keep doing. Oh, that's her, that we keep doing. Oh, that's her, it's him, them, we keep doing. No, they should not do. Believe me, they should not do even one email, even one chat, one search engine, one custom network, one Wi-Fi, one wireless long distance. It should not have exploring, because this is my exploring. It's not American exploring. It's illegal use of my exploring. It's not American, it would be American thieves. You explore American thieves. American criminals exploring. It's like I see a car right now, and I take that car and I offer. That's illegal way. The same if you take someone's intellectual property and offer, that's illegal way. That's what they do constantly, every day. And politicians, instead of using those Justice Department to stop, they don't stop. All they have in the head is to get money. So if email had to be checked for a talent who came to that, they didn't check anything. Because they probably want to send messages, give us the money. They're okay with any kind of stupid stuff as long as they can make money on it. That's what I've heard. Believe it or not, I don't know if it's true. Some politicians confiscate drugs not because drugs are illegal, but because they want to sell them. I actually found somebody was talking. They confiscate drugs, and then the same politicians who confiscated drugs, they are selling them on some black market. So if they do stuff like that, I won't be surprised if they approve fraud and forgery. That would be very normal. And then they want to be there again to ask for money. So that's my explanation. But I'm telling you, what people have, it's illegal use. The whole exploring is illegal use. It's not webs, way of design thinking or innovative thinking, and it's not internets. They keep giving name, but in reality they don't use from web or from internet. They use from me. So some of those, well, my ex-wife, big contributor to make money, somehow she keep talking about mine, and then politicians go implement, and another politician help them. Just take a look how many internet organizations were created, but it's not internet. And they don't have internet people from Russian army. So they used to legally a bunch of papers and keep putting themselves here and there, sending messages. They think that just because they got position, political position, he can pretty much screw anyone, anything. Because it's kind of not him. He can approve any kind of stupid stuff as long as it will give an opportunity to get the money somehow. So another way is corporate donations. So instead of disapproving, which is legal, they will approve just to create an organization, corporation, and then expect, those corporate donations. So I think American politicians in reality have very bad situation, very bad, disrespectful situation. Even if they help with tanks and all that, their real position is very bad when it comes to e-commerce and what they're offering for trading. When it comes to exploring, the situation very bad. That's like a criminal, basically like a criminal that stole something, want to take advantage, and then offer this social security benefit of this. Is that federal intellectual property you offer to people? Is that the federal intellectual property? Yes or no? No, because you offer through Google, right? But Google is in illegal use. It's not their stuff. Why did you approve? You did. You didn't. So Justice Department doesn't belong to government. You did approve. Or Copyright Office approve. It does not belong to government? Or it does? Well, who? You approve them. You say you're so clean, but you approve them or not? You see? They have all kind of the double game. Kind of us, kind of not us. But you approve them. Copyright Office approved. How did you approve? Based on letter somebody is allowed. That's not enough. You should disapprove. But because politicians have big dollars in their eyes, they approve. Because they were expecting to make money or to get money. They didn't like to wait to make legal. And then over 30,000 businesses lost money, and most of them had illegal use. Illegal copy and illegal use. They were too close. They should be disapproved. Even the first one had violations. And then they were making based on look like okay to do because it's internet. It's not internet. Internet is in Russian army. You don't have Russian army person for it. They were using intellectual property they got from Olga, and they gave internet to that particular intellectual property, but it's not the internet. I'm not internet. I never work in internet, and that house, Minnesota, did not belong to internet and nothing related to internet because my way is substantially different. So it's not internet. You cannot call it by internet because my way is different. So they gave the internet, and they were creating organizations based on illegal papers of my X5 that I allow. Look like I allow this, yeah, this is mine, and I allow. They were creating thousands, probably, I've seen so many, probably even 1,000 or thousands or hundreds, whatever, organizations, internet organizations. It's a joke. And who was doing it? Politicians. So that's overextending and abuse of power. Why you do that? Legally, you need to have talent. He needs to show up. They were affecting Justice Department, everything, everywhere. Look like he doesn't need to show up. Why? Why not? Why you change things? So it's abuse of power then. See what I mean? It's fraud. First of all, fraud and forgery. They started with. Politicians started with fraud and forgery. Look like I'm okay. Then they were implementing. And then they turn around that government has to do something with it. They were creating internet organizations where my intellectual property does not belong to federal. They should create zero organizations unless they talk to me. They didn't. So that's abuse of power then. That's what you're exploring. Illegal use and abuse of power. And then they want to be everywhere to get the money. That's the only thing I see. They want to do something. What you do? I keep asking for money. You don't do anything. You don't do anything. I see nothing. Completely nothing. Donald Trump, instead of taking time to investigate e-commerce and people's investments, he doesn't do anything. Investing money to be basically copycat some kind of again. Or asking money online, give me money. I'm not gonna give anything. I need all my money for my stuff. I don't need your money. I need my money for my stuff. You don't wanna give, then go. I don't care. Now, besides email and social network, if somebody is asking me a question about political influence, look like there is a concern of company. Normally, there is a company and like Wall Street. No politicians should affect, and companies, they're not supposed to deal with politicians. They should do business, research, analysis, whatever belongs to business. They should not deal with politicians. And there is a concern that all that exploring has too much of political influence, where they trade on Wall Street, and it is actually a corporation which should not have that influence. Basically, from what I see, is basically it's too much of political influence on normal corporation. And what's my view on that? My view on that, it was for me to use. So I came to that in '92. I told to my ex-wife, but it was for me to use. I told her I need to find rich people. I told her I need to talk to attorneys. And she started to argue, look like she wanna talk. I said, you cannot talk. Because sooner or later I need to deal with attorneys. And she did not like to listen. Take a look. I told her and she doesn't want to listen. That's how her stupid brain works. You tell her I need to talk to attorneys and legal people, and she doesn't care. For her, political people are the most important, and legal people, they're just like nothing. In her brain, political people can override anything. So if somebody is talking about influence of politicians on corporations, yeah, it's true. It's too much. It should not be there. My original is for me to go and talk, for me to go and do legal papers and all that. Well, she didn't like to listen. She's like she's off or something. She's not normal. She doesn't understand I need to talk to legal people because it's mine. So, because we're divorced, her brain work is gold digger's brain. And she probably knows she doesn't look good. She's not a Miss Universe. So normally some kind of stupid bitches like that, they start to tweak to steal money or to take advantage. And she goes to politicians. It's already a beginning point of too much of politicians, because she goes to politicians. Normally, based on my system, I have to go and talk. But she doesn't like to listen, so she goes and talk. But my choice would not be politicians. I said rich people. I need to find rich people, basically, and attorneys. And her brain doesn't like to listen, and she goes to politicians. So what happened, they had certain paperwork. By some tricks, they got approved to use mine illegally as legal. Because if she is not a talent and politicians are not talent, so it should be a talent. But they made up look like I'm there allowing this or this or this. In reality, I'm not there, not allowing. They made up. And somehow they got approvals. And then they came here on American land by some tricks. They got approvals and they were talking to Facebook or Google or Amazon or YouTube, whatever. But in reality, it should not be. So that too much of political influence is starting right from beginning, from creating corporations. That creating corporations, like I said, that's already corruption, because they use my intellectual property without talking to me, making paperwork look like okay, and then they go, who? Those political people, they go and talking about creating corporations. So it's already influence. Now, they shouldn't. They are basically like a spy, like spies. Like in case of biotech, suppose one company came to certain things, so another company is not spying, but they have spying politicians. So spying politicians go to one company, get some kind of ideas and all that, and then leaving that company, going to another company and telling them to do so that second company is doing. So that would be corruption, illegal use and corruption. That's what the exploring is. Too much influence of politicians right from beginning. They should not even register that corporation. They decided to register corporations with previous talk to politicians about using someone's intellectual property realistically with illegal papers. So they had influence right in the beginning, and then later they have another influence. Politicians are making some kind of organizations. No, I never asked about any organizations, and they're making organizations like those internet organizations. If you own internet organizations, then create internet organizations, but don't talk about mine. What they do is talk about mine and call it by internet organization. For internet organization, you need to go to Russia and have contact with them. And I can tell you, all those people today, what they explore is not internet. They explore those external systems and software decisions that don't belong to Russian army. So that's second political influence. Creating the organizations basically with illegal papers of my ex-wife would look like I allow. On top of it, they're giving old names of internet. So I came to custom certain network and they call by old name, internet, where internet have completely different network configuration. And Tim Berners-Lee is starting to do linking like 2-3 years before 91. Internet did not have any linking. Linking is only like, I think 89. I came to 92, I think he was in 89. So Russian army had no linking. All my design thinking and all my software decisions for exploring are based on linking. It's a different way. It's not like Submit, kind of. It's not like Barnes and Noble or AutoZone look. So, and Tim Berners-Lee never worked with Russian army, I'm sure. So what they're talking about, basically they keep asking questions of my ex-wife, who are those people? Politicians. And they tell companies, who are those people? Politicians. And later when company to deal with someone who they deal with, politicians. Of course, too much political influence. Yes, normally companies should not have it, but they do have that influence. And then later, those like Donald Trump or anyone else, they want to be on social network for people. And they probably have certain their own influence too. Or email, they keep emailing, give us donations. It's particular influence. If you want, you can block anyone. I don't care. Your wish, but it's not your intellectual property. You need to pay. You would need to pay realistically to the roof. Your Pentagon or whoever is paying for those contracts to have as federal, you would need to pay them to the roof for the international e-commerce project. It's way more than all your tanks or even nuclear bombs. It costs more. International commerce is like so many billions of people. To pay for that project, to have the development, you would choke up with the price tag. It's not a rocket, it's way more than that. It's transaction every second. Financial transaction every second. So what those political people did, they basically stole e-commerce. They started with the idea of stealing e-commerce and getting paid because of e-commerce. And all they talk about internet, web, it's all nonsense. They decided to take advantage of my e-commerce. And every German using my e-commerce should be considered as intellectual property criminal. Realistically, politicians are not politicians because it was never made for them. And Olga keep talking and they implement it. Look like it's for them. Never was for them. Never. They want to use fraud for own advantage and they want to have lunches on the expense of somebody else. That's their real business. And then he's talking about how great he is. He's a politician who like to use e-commerce for free. That's what it is. And then he come to American politicians making big eyewash how great they are. In reality, they're illegal users of e-commerce and violating intellectual property and in unjust enrichment. And I don't know what kind of eyewash or brainwash they give to American politicians, but they allow them to go and talk again. And it was for some time. And those like Mark Zuckerberg, they believe they're okay because somebody will approve them. In reality, none of them have to be approved. Is it federal order or not? No, you cannot make decisions like that. You cannot allow I know that people, is it belonging to the federal government? No. So it's not belonging to you or to there, and they keep talking about someone's intellectual property, e-commerce, and walking talking. You did allow. How can you allow? You don't have that power to allow, but you did. But you don't have that power. They can only allow something their own. And they have excuse, we didn't check. Then you had to check. Then whatever you allow is basically you do corruption. What some people worry about political influence, in reality is corruption. Corruption means it's not you go and talk and they do. And they would. Why you do this? Because you own money, yes. Because you promise and probably American politicians money, yes. Okay, so you have that corruption, and then you trade on Wall Street, look like the original thinkers. They're not original thinkers. They are not. I can tell you that email, chat, social network, e-commerce is not political intellectual property, but they go and talk because they have different papers. And all that had to be known on Wall Street, but they made look like nobody asked questions. They have so much political that influence not only on companies but on Wall Street too. Wall Street doesn't ask enough questions and allowed to go through. How? I don't know how. Because if I would be on Wall Street, if for instance I have Facebook and Twitter, I would say they look very similar. For trading, it should be substantial difference. It should be your thinking, but you look very similar. Who came to that? But none of them came to that. They look a little different. That was for me to change, not for them. They look very similar. Be it profile and picture, be it everybody's posting, some other things. So I would say on Wall Street, you don't have enough difference. So somebody should violate intellectual property then. You should be substantially different, not like a little bit. So, but the real answer would be none of them came to that. And they have illegal paper, look like it's okay to do. So both companies have illegal papers, it's okay to use and do. And then they trade and Wall Street is allowing. And who is involved? Politicians. So, yeah, influence right from beginning. But then later influence, because those politicians told and those companies exist, they continue hiddenly work with these politicians. They do work very hiddenly. I'm telling you, that's corruption. My ex-wife Olga, found politicians. As soon as she found, that's corruption. She is part of corruption. Using legal papers, walking, talking, implementing with illegal and no compensation, that's corruption. I'm serious. What they have is corruption. In reality, when what's his name, Donald Trump wanna be on social network, in reality he wanna be on corruption site or site made by corruption. Biden, you wanna be on the site, in reality you wanna be on the side of what was made by corruption, product of corruption, because they're not talents and they use that with illegal papers and they don't pay compensation, but politicians want some compensation. So that's corruption. You want to be on that corruption, what they call it, exploring. That exploring is corruption. Anyway, hopefully someday it will change. But I don't like all this. What they have, I don't like it. I will never say what they did is good. Anyway, talk to you later, bye.